Hey guys, welcome back. I wanted to share a conversation that we had last week in our wellness group. I was given permission to share this little exchange with you about sadness in hopes that maybe it will help shine a little light if there's sadness in your world right now. And this is basically kind of the exchange that went back and forth. One of the women in our group was getting ready to go visit her mom in the hospital who was in ICU. And she was, in her words, walloped by sadness. And this is what she wrote. I wanted to let you know that sadness is sitting with me big time right now. It's not like this event with my mom is a walk in the park. I am in the forest of sadness sometimes, but I am free from owning this event. I am free from filing it under the label stressful situations. And I am free from pulling out my notes from past stressful events for reference for this one. I am free of thinking I need to make this better. I am not asking why I am not figuring this out. When I sipped my cold Perrier on the bench outside the hospital and prepared to go to the ICU, sadness walloped me. And I let it sit on the bench beside me, the sun streaming, the cold bubbles on my lips. And I said, "Oh, sweet sadness, I'm so glad you are here. Let's walk in together and find mom's room." And then one of the other members of our group responded with this. Oh my goodness, you are together with my sweet friend, Mrs. Sadness. Please be kind to her. She just wants to be held and seen and allowed. I love you so much. It's interesting to me that we are so conditioned, especially in this Western culture, that sadness is something we need to rush through. It is something that we need to be able to explain. We need to have a reason to justify it. And then we need to monitor it. We need to be vigilant to make sure it's not staying too long and it's not going too deep and it's not being too loud. We have all kinds of rules we've innocently bought into about sadness. And then to make it even more fascinating and interesting, we have all these rules that we buy into in our own adorable brains, our own adorable little minds that say, it shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't happen to me. I shouldn't have this level of sadness. And that, my friends, is where we suffer. Sadness, even profound sadness, which of course is a story, a label, but we'll just use that for now. Deep sadness, profound sadness is not suffering. Feeling sadness all the way in your body, in your throat, your belly, your head is not suffering. Crying to the point of exhaustion is not suffering. It's crying, it's sobbing, it's being sad, it's having a very natural, normal human experience. Just like my friend in this WhatsApp group, in our wellness group. She had deep sadness. It walloped her, but she was not suffering. She was meeting reality exactly as it was arising. She let it sit down on the bench next to her as she sipped her Perrier. And then she held sadness's hand and said, "Come with me. Let's go find mom's room in the ICU." We suffer not because we're sad. We suffer when we believe the stories our mind is spinning, that we've learned innocently from our culture, from our conditioning. We believe the stories, it shouldn't be like this. I shouldn't be like this. The situation shouldn't be like this. I'm crying too much. It's been too long. All those stories, innocent as they are, and they're so sneaky sometimes, they just slip right in and they pretend to be reality. But they're an interpretation of a mind. They're like, I used this last week in office hours. They're like, sadness comes in as just reality, just sadness, energy, the energy of life, of love, of light arising, reality. And then before we even know, the mind comes in and slips a little veil and pretends to be reality. It pretends sadness is a problem. It pretends that reality is you shouldn't be like this. Something's going wrong with you. You need to figure this out quickly. You need to get yourself out of this. But what if the only suffering is believing those thoughts, being up in the mind, believing the veil that's innocently covering reality? The next time you feel profound or deep sadness, or mild sadness, or sadness you can't explain, you just feel it for no reason, instead of going up into the head, instead of listening to all the stories and the meanings and the figuring out, and why is it here? How long is it going to last? Pause, take a breath, come back to this present moment. Take one little step back and be a witness. Be present to it. Be with it. It's energy. I like to think of all emotions, because every emotion, fear, sadness, all the emotions, they're just different flavors, different costumes, different disguises of life arising, of life, of love, of energy. So sadness, it's just life, love arising in the disguise, the momentary costume of something we call sadness. It's fine. It's wonderful, in fact. It's made of the same stuff you're made of. It's wise and intelligent. So why wouldn't we let it sit on the bench with us? Why wouldn't we hold its hand and say, come along? One of the things I used to believe wholeheartedly was that if I was feeling like very sad, I needed to not go do things. I needed to not go engage in life. I needed to not go and do things that were joyful. Until I, thankfully, that caused enough suffering that I woke up, since all suffering is just there to wake you up. Sadness is a wonderful thing to bring along. Bring sadness with you. Hold her hand. She is a sweet friend. Let her come with you. You can still do whatever it is you want to do in life. You can go and enjoy whatever you want to enjoy. Bring her with you. Let her hold your hand. One of the best things, and then I'm going to leave you with this and then one little poem. I was telling office hours, one of the best things I've ever, or the best insights I've ever had about sadness was birthdays, holidays, and vacations are the most awesome, opportune, perfect times for sadness to arise. I used to think you can't be sad on your birthday because you're supposed to be happy, and something's wrong with you if you're sad on your birthday. And you definitely can't be sad on vacation because you're supposed to be super grateful and joyful. But a couple of years ago, I didn't buy into that complete and total conditioned bullshit anymore. I started having the best birthdays and vacations and holidays, because I suddenly realized I absolutely can be sad. Sadness can come. Sadness is welcome. So is fear. Any emotion is welcome. I will hold her hand and say, come on, come with me. Let's go. Sadness is energy. It is light. It is life. It is love. Crying is one of the greatest things, a gift we have been given. Have sadness. Have crying without the suffering. There is no suffering inherent in sadness or crying, even sobbing to the point of exhaustion. Not suffering, just just being human and being fully present to what wants to be here right now. That is not suffering. It is the opposite. It is holding sadness, profound sadness, crying, holding it, holding that experience with who you are, joy, peace, freedom. I'm going to leave you with this little poem that I love. I think I read it in office hours last week. It's by Naomi Shihab Nye. And it says this: before you know kindness as the deepest thing inside you, you must know sorrow as the other deepest thing. You must wake up with sorrow. You must speak to it till your voice catches the thread of all sorrows and you see the size of the cloth. Then it is only kindness that makes sense anymore. Have your sadness. Have sadness. Have crying. Hold it with what you actually are, the stability of you, the love and the peace and the freedom and the joy that you are. Opens its arms so wide and makes a spot on the bench for sadness. Sip your Perrier, hold her hand, take her with you. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.